Hi, welcome to this special episode of the Dr. Keith Darrow podcast. That's right. This is actually the first time. So if you're watching this on YouTube, this is the first time that I have two guests with me at the same time, which is pretty exciting. So I'm going to try my best to keep track. But I have with me today, I have representatives from this magnificent new technology company in hearing healthcare called OTOSET, which provides an ear cleaning system for hearing healthcare providers to use with their patients, which is just huge. And we'll get into that. But first, let me welcome Aadil Diwan, the CTO of OTOSET, also the co-founder. And we're going to hear a really fun story about how he even came up with this idea. And then we have Jacki Phillips with us, the VP of Sales. And essentially, right, if you're in hearing healthcare and you want to learn more, you want to get this product to build value in your practice, Jacki's going to be the one that you reach out to. So both of you, welcome and thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us. I'm really excited to be with you.
Absolutely. So I'm going to ask both of you, and I want to hear both of your answers. So I keep this on my desk. Right? You might look at this and you might say, well, that's a tuning fork. You're an ear geek. Of course you have a tuning fork, but it's also the shape of a Y. And I do believe strongly in diving deep into the why of everybody that I interact with, of every company, because you can't just be a what. You can't just put out a widget, right? I mean, you could say OTOSET's a widget, right? But there's got to be a story behind it. There has to be a why. And I would love to hear from both of you, why you get out of bed every day, why you co-founded this company, Aadil, and Jacki, why you decided to work there.
Aadil, you want to go ahead and start?
Great. I'd love to start it off. So again, my name is Aadil Diwan. I'm the co-founder and CTO of Safkan Health. My background is in biomedical engineering, particularly in biomechanics. But this whole story with cerumen impaction and later coming to OTOSET started for me when I was a pretty young kid, around 11 or so years old. Is the first time I woke up one morning and I couldn't hear out of my left ear here. So it was a really shocking experience for me. I went over and told my mother, of course, and that's when she took me over to the physician, and that's when everyone said, okay, everyone take a deep breath. There's nothing really wrong here. He just has a cerumen impaction. And so ever since that day, I was going into the clinician's office multiple times a year to get my ear syringed out, which is the ear and bladder syringe with a kidney basin on my shoulder. And so it was easy to say that I was traumatized from a young age.
Yes. You probably haven't been to the doctor in 10 years because you're so traumatized.
I endured it as millions of people have for years until fast forwarding, I became a biomedical engineer. And then I really set out to come back to this procedure and see what we could do to improve it, both for providers and patients. And that's when the idea started coming along. If we can, take what some clinicians are doing with irrigation and combine that with what a lot of ENT specialists are doing into one device. And that was how the OTOSET was born.
Now that's really cool because so there's clearly a very personal story behind this, which is when I think you get the greatest innovation, when there's really a personal motivation behind things. So I'm sorry you went through that. But I guess out the other end has come this magnificent product that can really help us manage our patient cerumen, because I can tell you, all my war stories. Anybody in hearing healthcare can tell you the war stories of, right? My patient waited 7 years to get their hearing test. It's been driving them crazy, their family crazy. They come in and we're all excited to do the test, start treatment. There's a huge block of cerumen. Like, right. Seriously, right? And now we know there's still an underlying hearing loss, but we can't even get to it because there's a block of cerumen. And look, I'm pretty brave, probably because as a neuroscientist, I've done thousands of brain surgeries in like tiny little animals. So I'm good with little instruments, but a lot of people I don't have the proper training. I don't have the proper tools. I'm going to send them away. And it's like, there was so much excitement about getting started with treatment. And now that darn cerumen just got in the way. So I love the idea of really trying to tackle this problem. But before I continue to pontificate, Jacki, tell us a bit of your story.
Yeah, Jacki Phillips, VP of Sales, and I honestly didn't think much about Earwax until last summer when I got contacted by a recruiter to ask if I was interested in learning more about this company. I had not heard about the company. And at first, being an audiologist, I was thinking, earwax removal, that doesn't sound too exciting. I'm not sure if I, would be interested. And she convinced me. She's like, nah, this is very different. This is something that's not seen in the industry yet. It's an innovator. And I said, sure. And I talked to the two co-founders, and I was pretty much blown away when I listened to their story. And then I actually started doing research. I've been on the industry side for the past 17 years. I haven't been in clinic since then. So I was in clinic for 7 years, but I was kind of sheltered there with earwax cleaning because I worked in an ENT clinic. So therefore, if I had major impaction, I would send them upstairs to the ENT, have it cleaned out. I mean, I use a Corette if it was kind of bought, in a way for an impression, but my extent of knowing earwax removal was with a Corette. And it was just here and there when I needed, it was bothering me to fit hearing aids. So basically, I started doing research and realized that over 35 million Americans suffer for earwax impaction every year. And over 12 to 15 million go see a professional every year to have this cleaned out. So actually, then I realized what they were still using, something that's been used for 200 years, a syringe and a basin on a person's shoulder. So I felt like, you know what? I want to be part of something that's innovative, that's going to bring something brand new to the audiology industry, which I'm very close and passionate about. And I saw this as an opportunity to do that. And that's kind of what drove me to leave my previous company. And then this past September, join Safkan Health and bring the OTOSET, launch the OTOSET in September to the audiology and hearing care professionals in the US.
Well, and I think you make a great point there. I love your, I guess I hadn't really thought about it. It probably has been, right, 200 years where we just shove some water in, we put a little basin and we wait for it to come out. The other option is, right, the dreaded suction where, right, no patient ever leaves a doctor's office and says, wow, the suction of the wax out of my ear, that was a very pleasant experience, right? In fact, they say the exact opposite. I'm never having that done again. And here's the one that really gets me, and I believe them. It was so loud, it's definitely made my hearing worse. I've had patients tell me it's triggered their tinnitus. I mean, it's like you're sticking a machine gun inside the ear. There's nothing more, I feel like, archaic when it comes to cerumen management. But OTOSET is just, look, when I first saw what you guys designed, I mean, it's brilliant. It's screamingly obvious, but it's brilliant. So how did that even come about, that design? And I'm hoping one of you can show me one.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, I have one right here in front of me.
There you go.
Here's our OTOSET device. And how this came about, as I mentioned, is we set out to combine two different procedures into one. So what clinicians were doing with irrigation, with just ear and bladder syringe or any other sort of spray bottle or pick, and then combine that with microsuctioning. So what the device does here is it uses the irrigation and suction at the same time to irrigate in and then remove cerumen along with the water out into the waste container. And then the way the device came about to be a pair of headphones was because it seemed like if something that's hands-off and something that patients are familiar with, obviously a pair of headphones, we can take the guesswork out of the procedure by automating it. So our device uses consistent pressures and flow rates every single time over 30 seconds to, as I mentioned, automate that procedure and take the guesswork out of it. And the way irrigation actually works in the ear is it sprays the irrigation to the walls of the ear canal, never directly at the tympanic membrane. So that's another way that we've incorporated design elements to improve the procedure for the patient so that they walk away feeling better.
Interesting. Yeah. So you're basically, it goes in and it sprays almost outward, not like, we're not talking like a direct shot at the eardrum.
That's right. So it shoots in more of a V shape to the top of the ear canal and to the bottom of the ear canal with simultaneous suction to bring that water out, completely self-contained inside of the headset, and remove the cerumen out as well.
So there's a pool of water that goes in, and then there's actually a drainage pool also that will collect wax and the excess water.
That's right. So as you can see here, there's a top container, and this is where the solution will be filled into. We'll use body temperature water in that top half here. And then you'll see that I just attached this bottom container here, which we call our waste container. And so this container here is what actually creates the negative pressure and the suction in here to draw the fluid back out of the ear to collect it into that container there.
So, and I would imagine that's contained. You don't take it off and spill a bunch of waxy water everywhere.
That's right. It's completely self-contained inside the headset.
And that is reusable? You got to clean it, or that's disposable?
It's disposable per patient. So we have these disposable kits, as we call them, that come in different bags for the left ear and the right ear. So they are different for the left and the right ear based on the anatomy of the ear canals. We have different ear
tips. Makes sense.
And then so these disposables are single patient use. So you use it on one patient and then dispose of them afterwards. The device itself is really easy to clean. It's just a simple wipe down with an alcohol wipe of the patient contacting areas. I
love seeing what brilliant biomechanical engineers sort of come up with, right? I'd love to see the sketches. You know, like you see the sketches for like a Disney animation. Like I would love to see some of those original sketches. I'm hoping you've got them framed somewhere in the office.
Yeah, I actually have a whole notebook that goes back about 5 years.
Oh, that's very cool. Very cool story. So
sorry, Keith. I was just going to mention too, Aadil, we actually, the early design or early market that we were looking at was actually primary care physicians. So that is a hint why the healthcare, like the hospitals and healthcare systems, where the disposable comes in, because in those settings, pretty much you have to be, have disposables across the board. And that's infection control is really a big concern. It's a concern everywhere in the medical field, but that's initially where this product was going to go initially, until I started talking to them back in the late summer and fall. And we kind of pivoted to the hearing healthcare field versus the primary care physicians. But we are still, very about 75% of our focus is hearing healthcare, but also we are in primary care physicians. Sure. And we're also we are in ENTs, and we also developed this product with the help and guidance of ENTs initially.
Yeah. Oh, I would imagine they certainly played a role. Now let's talk about that. Let's talk about, because there are going to be some business owners here. There are going to be some people who have their own innovations. What has that process, and I guess you could probably both speak to it, what is it like getting from the notebook to, okay, now we're trying to actually get into practices? And you've both seen it. Audiology, hearing healthcare, we move slow. We definitely, I don't know, sometimes we move slower, sometimes faster than primary care physicians. We've seen this with a lot of technology where primary care physicians are like, I don't even have time to listen to what you're offering, because I literally have 3 patients I'm supposed to see at the same time in the next 15 minutes. But what has that journey been like for both of you?
Yeah, for me on the on the engineering product development side as the CTO, it's been quite a journey. Starting from early prototypes, we actually did a lot of 3D printing of our early prototypes so that we could move quickly with our design improvements and iterations through our clinical studies. So we've actually completed 3 clinical studies to date. The third one is actually going to be published in the coming months. It was in partnership with the University of Washington Primary Care Innovation Lab. So that'll be out in a few months. And basically what we did is we did our rapid prototyping, 3D printing, took it out to our clinician advisors. As Jackie mentioned, we developed the product with ENTs. we collected feedback and then kept iterating until we got the product to a place where we were seeing great success in those clinical studies. And then it was about a year-long process to go through the FDA and all of the testing and electrical safety testing, et cetera, that's goes into that submission. So we are actually the world's only 510K cleared ear cleaning device. So that was quite a bit of a process and something that we're really proud of.
Sure.
And then from there, we brought on Jacki, as she mentioned, last September for our initial launch. And so far it's been really great. And so I'll let her take it from there.
Yeah, I think, so I started September 1. We launched September the 14th at a continuing education event that was hosted by a manufacturer. We were invited to speak. So that was our first kind of, here we are to audiology world or hearing care professionals. And it went over really with rave reviews, because I think what we were seeing from the people at the meeting, plus as the past 6 months, we've encountered in our field, people don't have the resources or time or tools or the confidence to do cerebral management. So probably 90% of the people we talk to, a Correct, probably the only tool that they use or have. And majority of them,
even that they're not comfortable with.
That's correct.
They're really not comfortable with that. That's one thing that, and maybe I'm just, that type of person who does take risks, but I'm teaching students, teaching seasoned veteran audiologists. They're like, oh, I don't know if I feel comfortable. I didn't get proper training. Like, you don't need a 4-year, education to use a curette, but they're very nervous by it because, right, you don't want to hurt the ear canal. You certainly don't want to blow the eardrum. So this is really a much needed tool in the audiologist tool belt.
Absolutely. And they either have someone in the clinic or they send their patients to, then their audiologist or hearing care professional to clean out the ears, only one person, or they refer out. And as you said earlier, Keith, 7 years to get the patient in the door, then the patient comes in, and then they have to be referred back out to another professional that could take 2 weeks to 4 weeks. I hear a lot of ENTs that we see, they're saying they're backed up about 4 weeks for ear cleaning because that's not the top priority in that clinic. So they get pushed out for about 4 weeks, and then they get seen by that professional, and then they got to get back to the audiologist or the hearing care instrument specialist. And so that can take several weeks. In the meantime, these people don't want to they don't want to go get their ears checked anyway. And it takes so much to get them there, but now they're having to be bounced back between professionals, or they'll stay at the ENT and not go back to the original professional. And that's what we see a lot of. So this is really a pain point for our profession because they can't, like you said earlier, they can't complete the hearing test because it's going to be altered with a block of wax in there. So they have to get this out, or they can't make an ear impression, or they can't fit hearing aids with so much wax. So this is a major pain point that Aadil and his brother Sahil, didn't even look at really. Originally, it was all mostly primary care physicians, but when we started looking at this industry, it was like a major pain point for the professionals because it hindered them being able to fit hearing aids.
Every day.
That is huge. Yep. Every day, like you said, for this industry. So then we realized this is really a huge problem, and we've got an amazing solution that's very innovative and new and not intimidating to use. And it's an easy way to get started with cerebral management.
So now let's dive a little bit deeper because I'm a science geek. I'm a data guy, a numbers guy. It's a cool product. It's a great concept. Help me understand the data you've collected. I know that the technology is FDA cleared. So you jumped through some big hoops and you said that there's data coming out. What is the data showing? That it works, that it's a good experience? Like, what is it that people can look forward to by incorporating this into their practice?
Yeah, I can share a little bit about that. So we recently completed a study that we did 100 years in. And as I mentioned, we published a couple of months. So I don't want to spoil the news here, but we had
give me the trends.
We had solid results. So we had above 90% effectiveness on removing our cerumen. And then we also had high patient satisfaction. But I think the number was 90% of patients said that OTOSET was a better experience for them than what they have previously experienced, whether that was with curetting or microsuctioning or irrigation.
So 9 out of 10 patients prefer this over irrigation. I mean, it's got to be 10 out of 10 over suctioning. I mean, I don't mean to just, I mean, that's such a traumatic experience for so many patients.
Yeah, we've actually had people tell us who've been through the manual suctioning only and then had the OTOSET procedure done on them. We've had people tell us that the OTOSET is a quieter and more tolerable experience for them.
And so let's dive in on this. I want to understand this. So, right, it seems like a cure-all, but then I heard 90%. So are you telling me that 9 out of 10 patients with impacted cerumen, we can get that cleared out? I mean, that's a great number. So I'm not saying it in a bad way, because right now we're at 0%. So what is the number? If a patient comes in, what's the percent chance that I'm going to be able to get that impacted cerumen out using OTOSET?
We believe it's very high, and our studies show that. As I mentioned, I believe the number was 92%, that we were able to at least remove some of that cerumen or completely remove it down to a zero impaction. And as I mentioned, we had solid patient satisfaction ratings as well. The cases that we may not be able to completely remove are always those tougher cases. As you mentioned, if someone has had that cerumen that's been in there for 7 years and it's as hard as a rock, and that's a completely obstructing the tympanic membrane, that'll be a case that would need a bit of more pre-treatment a few days in advance. Maybe they need to use some softening drops in advance before they come into the clinic to break that down a little bit. And then when they use the OTOSET for the irrigation and suction, that'll be a great help.
Now, you said, I hope you don't mind me asking, you said warm water solution. Is there not a way to use a wax softener solution while doing the rinsing, or is that just not an option? Tell me about that.
Yeah, so we recommend using pre-treatment before using the OTOSET. And with the OTOSET itself, you want to use body temperature water, and that's to prevent any vertigo. Oh, yeah. No,
yes, I definitely got that one. But so it's not, can some rogue clinician say, well, hey, I can put in hydrogen peroxide? Does the system not work? Or have there been any of these little, tangent experiments done with that?
We have not, and we don't recommend using anything other than water with the system. And that's essentially because inside the device, it uses water pumps and vacuum pumps. So running chemicals through the internals may cause damage over time, and that's something that we always recommend against.
So in the tough cases, in the 8 out of 100, you may need to do some pre-treatment, which is still right. I mean, if you told me that if I'm going to have 100 impactions in the next 2 years, and 92 of them, I can take care of them right there on the spot, I'm in. That's a no-brainer for me. And a couple of them might have to go home, do some pre-treating, and then come back, and then we'll get it out. Now, what is the process like? Is it 20 minutes? Is it 30 seconds? Tell me about the length of time. How long does it take for this system to work once you sort of get a patient strapped in with this headset?
Yeah, absolutely. So the procedure itself, when the device is on and running the cleaning cycle, that's only 30 seconds long. So it's an automated 30 seconds of irrigation and suction. First 20 seconds or so of that is a combination of both. And then the final 10 seconds is only suction to dry out the ear a little bit.
Okay.
And so we like to say that this procedure usually took about 20 to 30 minutes previously with manual methods. And we've seen that be reduced down to 5 minutes.
That's true. So you can run a couple of cycles. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. So depending on the level of impaction, you may need to run 2 or 3 cycles as much as you need to remove it completely. And of course, doing otoscopy between cycles.
Sure. So let's go back. I want to circle back though on the FDA cleared. What does that mean to you? And what does that mean to the clinics and to the patients that may, have this procedure done?
Yeah, so that means the FDA took a look at all of our clinical data that we submitted to them. They took a look at, of course, the product itself, all the engineering behind it, all the electrical safety data, cleaning validation data. So the way that we disinfect the device has been reviewed by the FDA. They've even looked into the biocompatibility of all the materials that come in contact with the patient. So it was quite of an in-depth process that really, actually, I would say, helped us create an even better product for our patients and providers.
Sure. Awesome. Well, I think you and I could probably have our own 2-hour geek out podcast, but let's circle back, because a lot of people here listening are like, okay, I own a private practice. I'm in private practice, audiology, hearing healthcare. Why would I do this? Right? Like, what's the value in this? I think, and I've put out a lot of videos, I've given talks on this. What over-the-counter hearing aids has done for our industry is it's literally shined the spotlight on us to say, what value do we provide? I think it's the greatest thing ever, right? So how does this, Jacki, how have you seen this increase value in a hearing healthcare practice?
Yeah, it's a great question, Keith. And I agree with you on the OTC. I think that the timing of this product coming into the industry could not have been more perfect. So it's all about timing. I think too, what I'm seeing, because we actually go see all of our customers in person. So I've been seeing a lot of people in person and visiting their clinics and looking at their workflow. So I've been all over the country listening to people, and people are searching for value-added services to their clinics because of the changes going on in the industry. So they are looking at what extra value can I add to my clinic. And one service that nobody's really been highlighting or offering is cerumen management or earwax cleaning. So they look at this as, wow, I'm able to add a brand new service and actually make my clinic a one-shot clinic, because I don't have to refer out to anyone. And I can add a very important, quick, safe, effective, and mess-free service that takes only minutes. And also it helps with patients repair on hearing aids as well. So my patients are not as upset with me because my receivers are going out every other week. So they are able to help that problem with patients, but also help alleviate the issue with impaction with their patients if they're doing hearing tests or follow-ups with their hearing aids. So it's definitely a service, and it's one that's, I think, people off their radar. If you look at people's websites, you look under services, it's not that often you see cerumen management or earwax cleaning offered on their websites or in person. So now what we're seeing is people get our device, they advertise that I have this service, and people are telling me all the time, I put it on my website, and I'm getting phone calls all the time from patients to come in because they're searching for this. They want something that's quick and easy. And now their local clinic has it. And
don't forget the psychology of the 42 million people living with untreated hearing loss. All 42 million of them want it to just be, I got some wax in my ears. So I'm going to go online and I'm going to figure out where can I get the wax out and prove to my, significant other that I can hear fine. It's just the wax. You get that all the time. You see people marketing something like that all the time. I mean, I really do. I believe it provides a tremendous value. You've traveled the country. I've traveled the country, seen lots of clinics. Even in my own clinic, we have those, the steady appointments, right? Frank comes in every third Monday to get his ears cleaned out. And then Sally comes in, the third week of every month to get her ears cleaned out. And we're using curettes, we're using the syringe, we're using these archaic methods when it can be sit down, considered an ear spa, right? You get to sit back, relax. Maybe you got to get some relaxing music in there. But basically it's a pleasant experience to go in, get your ears cleaned, and just go about your life. And it takes a few minutes, which is just such a cool concept. And it doesn't take, hours of your time, the patient's time. It can really be a 15-minute in and out appointment. Dare I say, your technician or audiology assistant might even be able to assist you with this.
And Keith, you're exactly right. We are seeing nonstop people asking that question, can my audiology assistant provide this service? And we're saying absolutely. So it's freeing up the clinician's time to see more people. I was just with
lots of audiologists are obsessed that they're the only ones who are allowed to do anything with their patients. But it is great to know that this one is genuinely like, yes, anybody can do this.
Any trained healthcare professional can do this. And then another area that we're seeing that we didn't know, it's actually a surprise to us. I don't know why we didn't think about this, but we're seeing more and more mobile audiology clinics calling us across the nation. I was just in New Jersey last week with a clinician who has a mobile clinic. And she was telling me, she's like, I have patients who barely have any wax, but like you said, Keith, it's a spa treatment in their mind. Like it's comfortable to them that they just want to come in and get their ears clean because they don't have much, but they enjoy the process and making sure their ears are squeaky clean. So,
if you own mobile, I really hate that word, but anyway, because it just conjures up door-to-door salesman. But I get what you're saying. If you have a concierge practice where you go your high-end patients because that's the model, I don't know how you show up without OTOSET because you're wasting everybody's time if you get there and there's too much wax. So I think every practice, especially concierge, I really can't think of an exception of who doesn't need to have this technology in their practice because it's value added. And as we've discussed offline, if you're unbundled, there's an obvious value add here. You could charge. Now, do you know of clinics that are charging? Have you seen a range of what some clinics are charging?
Yes, Keith. It's varied by the city and the population of the city, but I've seen between $50 to $150 is the range that we're seeing clinicians charging for this service. And again, I would say it's average around 100 to 120 is what we're seeing mostly, but they're doing that. And then the concierge or the mobile clinics that go to nursing homes or assisted living, they're actually charging a little bit more because of the convenience of going there. And they are saying that the assisted living and nursing homes are impressed that they actually could have irrigation brought into their facility. And some of those patients really have a hard time leaving the facility. So if they can get there and do this service, it's hands down a value service.
At $120, that's a steal to not have to get that patient, put them in an ambulance, get them transported. I mean, that could be a $6,000 cerumen impaction right there when you add that all up. So that's really cool. And so there's an obvious unbundled model says, I'm going to get you the treatment you need. Whatever it takes, I'm going to get it. And just like you do your doctor, you're going to get an itemized bill for everything you do. Maybe insurance will cover some things, maybe not. I shouldn't assume. Is this covered by insurance? Have you seen it covered anywhere?
Not with private practices. In the ENT, there is a CPT code. Okay. And the nice thing with that, this device, it has microsection, which is 2 CPT codes for cerumen management for a physician. It goes with a higher CPT code, which is a roughly around $50. And surprisingly, we are seeing audiologists come or call us or reach out to us saying their ENT saw the device and want them to get the device because they don't want to do the cleaning. And then the audiologist says, I have an assistant, so she or he will be doing my cleaning once I get this. And the ENTs are reviewing it going, there's nothing you can do wrong with the patient's ears. Get this, let's start going with the OTOSET. So excellent. That's what we're seeing.
That's excellent. And then just the flip side. So there's the obvious unbundled model and then bundled, right? Everybody's model is different, but the cool thing about OTOSET, because some new technology that comes out, like it seems to fit better with an unbundled model or a bundled model. This one is Switzerland. It's completely neutral. Being a bundled practice and working with a lot of bundled practice and some unbundled, it just makes sense because we too are trying to differentiate and us too are trying to say, look, this is what it costs. I mean, we do a monthly treatment program, $187 a month. and here's everything you get. And I am constantly trying to make that list longer because I want to provide more value, but I'm not just going to add anything on there. It has to be something. I love that it's FDA cleared. I love that it's data backed. I love that there's going to be pretty soon published data, peer reviewed. Like, this belongs on that list. It belongs in every practice, and every patient needs to know that we are the hero and we can keep their ears cleaned and keep it, impaction free, keep them hearing their best. And it's just amazing work that you're doing.
Thank you. And there's more to come, Keith. I mean, Dylan, you want to discuss more about the pediatric?
It just took the words out of my mouth. You can't steal the host's thunder. I was literally just about to say, so now that we know where you are today, Aadil, tell me about the future, because no innovative company, no, CTO nerd, if you don't mind me saying, with a biomechanical engineering background just says, okay, I created this, I'm going to go sit on my couch, right? So what is the next, what does the future look like 6 months, 6 years from now?
Yeah. So why we get out of the bed in the morning and the vision of the company. So we are starting, of course, with our OTOSET, which is our clinical device. With this device here, we're going to do continuous improvements, taking our customers' product feedback, putting out a 2.0 later this year, collect more feedback on that. And we'll always continue the life of the clinical device. And that's what's meant to treat those significant cerumen impactions in a clinical setting. Then we also have a bigger vision for the company, essentially to do for your ears what electric toothbrushes did for your teeth. And so we have visions for both pediatric and also consumer versions of the OTOSET. So the pediatric version, of course, would be cleared for children, people under the age of 18. Right now, the OTOSET is FDA cleared for people above 18 and above. So we'll be working on our pediatric version soon. And then also a consumer version. So a device that can be used at home by someone like myself who has a history of cerumen buildup, or even guilty Q-tip users that are at home and just right now have no good solution. So that's what we plan to do for the millions of people out there like myself, and even more people looking for a solution here.
I love that, because whether I'm at the clinic or I'm sitting by a pool, right? Because, I'm the ear guy, get the question, well, if I can't use a Q-tip, what can I use? Right. And I don't feel like I ever have a great answer other than just let the wax be, run water through your ear in the shower. Now, right, I just look forward to the day I get to look at a friend, at a lay person, and just say, hey, go to CVS or go to OTOSET.com and just buy this cool headset and have your 3 minutes of Zen every day and keep your ears clean.
Exactly. We see the consumer device as probably a smaller version, maybe even a one-sided version of this device that becomes something that prevents that person from having the cerumen buildup in the first place. So something that they're using a few times a week to prevent that issue from blocking their hearing and causing them pain, itchiness in the first place.
I love that. And your analogy is perfect with the electric toothbrush. I'm sure if you asked the dentist that 30 years ago, they'd say you were nuts. And now they're everywhere, and probably a multi-zillion dollar, idea. And I'm with you. I think this will be the next one. So I don't know if you're going public, if I can invest in stock, but I'm in.
And I think something that's interesting too that Aadil mentioned is that we are always improving and enhancing the product. And I can't say enough of the support from our early adopters and innovators that purchased this early on, starting in September through now. But our customers have been amazing. We reach out to them very frequently to ask what can we do to improve this product. And the changes coming out later this year those changes are all based on the feedback from our early adopters and innovators who told us, like, can you change this? Can you add this? So we're small, but we're quick and nimble to make those adjustments and changes that our customers tell us. So we listen to our customers, and anything they tell us, it could be tiny little tiny change, we actually turn around and go, okay, Aadil, can we do this? And he will try to figure out a way to implement that into the next version. So this is a version 1. The 2.0 will come out later. And like I said, we are just so grateful for the people who have helped us make the changes. And so we're committed really of being the partner for hearing healthcare providers where we want to take the next level, higher level for care and give value, as we said earlier, and personalize the service for the patient. And so that's where we are. And that's going to make us stand out from anybody else that they work with in this room management or wax removal, is you will notice the proactive responses from us and how we take care of our customers. So we love to work with more and listen to more people. Give us feedback.
I love your commitment to innovation, your commitment to the industry of hearing healthcare, and the commitment to the millions of people who will really benefit from this. And I genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, I am grateful that you have committed to be a part of our upcoming neuroscience boot camp. Look, we're throwing a 2-day neuroscience boot camp to really help people in our industry better understand best practices. And I believe this needs to be in our next iteration of best practices, what every one of our practices, all 12,000 of us across the country, need to be offering to our patients as the leading edge in terms of cerumen management, right? We think about cognitive health. We have a tool to screen that. We think about, all these things, cerumen management. We have to continue to evolve. And it's just so exciting that now there's actually something in the toolbox that we can use. So thank you for committing to be a member of the Neuroscience Bootcamp. I can't wait for you to be there. You're going to meet so many great people that I think are really going to be blown away with what you're offering.
I'm excited as well, Keith. Thanks for having us for this podcast and for the May event, the boot camp. Very excited about it. And I'm just love getting out and really trying to bring the best practice to our clinicians, because I know it's something that's needed.
Excellent. Excellent. Aadil, I'll leave you with the last word.
I would just like to thank you again for having us. It's been an absolute pleasure talking with you today. And as Jackie mentioned, we're looking forward to getting this out to even more and more people across the country, and doing as much as we can to help both providers and patients go through cerumen management with greater success and better outcomes.
Excellent. Excellent.
Thank you
both. Oh, wait, before I forget, we dive so deep into hearing healthcare. I've got this one opportunity before we're in person to get to know you on a little bit more of a personal level. So let's go with favorite movie. Jackie, Aadil, what is it?
Aadil?
My favorite movie, The Pursuit of Happiness. The one.
Oh, amazing movie. Absolutely.
I would go with, I actually love classics. So Rear Window, I'm a Hitchcock fan. So you may not have ever seen Rear Window, but it's one of his best movies ever. So I love a suspense thriller movie.
Awesome. Thank you so much to both of you. Take care, and can't wait to be with you at the Neuroscience Bootcamp.
Thank you.
So much.
See you soon.
Excellent.